What's happening? How you guys
Hey.
doing?
Good. How are you?
Well, thank you very much. Thanks everybody to tune in for Bread and Circuses. Today we got Richie Bones in, and super excited. Like, for those that don't know much about you, where could they find you, and what could you tell us about yourself? Give us a story.
So, I am. A lot of people want to know. They don't think it's me when I respond to them. So, I'm 46 years old. I'm in North Philly, and I don't know. I guess I feel like this is the dating thing. So
Yeah, right. Hey,
I'm,
this
yeah.
is, you know.
I'm an, I'm an Aries, and I'm 6'1". And the way that you can find me, I mean, I had told Madi that I have three types of social media. Am I allowed to talk about them or no? Can I say them
Yeah,
Yeah.
out loud?
absolutely.
So Instagram is at critical mass 77. Um, the other one is it's TikTok. Sometimes I I lose my place, but it's TikTok at Keystone Crossbones, and then it's OnlyFans. It's Keystone Crossbones, but the name of the OnlyFans is HotLunch. So, and it's not that exciting. It's pretty boring. It's just because people want to see my tattoo. So, um, that's sort of, I don't know how else they can find me. I mean, like, I've been on Inked magazine a number of times. I don't really like mentioning that because I'm not a big fan. And You can find me on Devon Rodriguez. He just interviewed me um, a couple of weeks ago. I say about a month ago, he interviewed me and did a drawing of me. And I guess my perception of life and where I stand really hit home with some people. I mean, obviously based on upon how I look and my tattoos and things of that nature. There's random YouTube videos that Ink did on Heavily Inked. There's other, like Just Inked did one. There's a few more, but that's pretty much it. Some people could find me because of my graffiti, my canvas, my I guess I was a DJ for a long time in the 90s with vinyl, not like a microwave where I'm pushing buttons. And and um I had a clothing line for about 10 years. It did well. Um and that's pretty much it. I've been in entertainment my whole life in some way or another. So I guess that's how they could find me or try to, stalk me and find me.
Yeah,
Tattoo
and like
conventions.
rewind a little bit to that OnlyFans. You're talking about being tattooed because your dick's tattooed, right? Full
Dick's
sleeve.
tattoo, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else would hot lunch be?
Well, I
Right.
don't know.
Dicks, dicks, balls, boobs, all of it. Wet
Are you
things.
tattooed head to toe?
I I am, but it's not the way that people think that I am. Like I have a lot of old school yard sale from the 90s on me, and I I am about to get a back piece done, but I'm covered. I mean, like my ribs are done, my stomach's done, everything in the front's done. It's just not really filled in. Um, my arms are done completely like this, and people ask me all the time. Uh, I guess they ask me when it started. What am I covering up? Dr. Drew, I told you, Marisol, that at one point him and Tom Segura were going back and forth about things, and they had mentioned me, and someone said something to Dr. Drew, and he sort of made a reference that only Nazis do it, or gang members are covering shit up, and I get it, but I'm Jewish, and my tattoos, I think they represent more than just. I love my old tattoos, but my tattoo artist, a friend of mine, we just, I just had to sacrifice a lot to have the tattoos that I have now. I had face tattoos and head tattoos and neck tattoos at the time, but when I started to really just let go, that's when I started to just black everything out or started doing that.
What do you mean,
So,
let go? Let go of what?
um, I think that we all fall into this. I talked to Devon a little bit about this because there's like 30 minutes of footage with him that I uh, didn't see yet. They said they put on YouTube. I don't know if that's going to happen, but here we are. So it doesn't really matter, does it? So I guess letting go, just like that. It's where some people might lose their mind waiting. I might lose my mind for a day, 2, 3 days, a week, and then I just kind of move on. Um, and like accept it. And so I had these old tattoos, and I look at things very different in the sense of what do people do? They get these things like an owl or a cat or a hammer or whatever it is that they put on them, and this becomes a story to them, or this becomes a representation of self of some way or somehow with the way of life. And so for me, there's nothing. There's really like other than my face. I mean, even then, there's nothing there that you're gonna go, oh, look at that anchor on your face. It's just abstract lines that were placed correctly, that almost create like a I guess like what do they call it? It's sacred math, sacred geometry.
Mhm.
And there really was no rhyme or
Dude,
reason, right?
okay.
But it,
It's really funny you say, because you were saying an owl, and then you said sacred geometry. And literally, dude, like yesterday at 6 a.m.,
he got an hour sacred
I
geometry.
well, I've had an owl, and then I got fucking straight up Merkaba right there, part
That's
of
good.
the fucking Metatron cube.
Yes, Metatron. So that's a whole. That's so the Metatron. I don't know if people even know that. That's you're the first person I've ever heard even reference that. But to me, everybody has these things, and we grow accustomed to this mask that we put on. And I think Jung spoke about it in Modern Man's Search for a Soul, where he said Carl Jung says like we have 5 selves or 4 selves or something like that. If it's like one is like the one we show everybody, the one we show ourselves and everybody, and like shadow self. And I think that we grow accustomed to this false sensitivity of um, security, and we have this guard on top of that where this is who I am, and I'm gonna be. I think that we don't practice letting go enough and just saying, okay, I've had this for such a long time. Has become who I am, and everybody knows this is who I am. So how do we change the dynamic of who I am, and maybe just like eating a new food or meeting new people or sitting in a different place in your house, you're changing the perception. And once you change the perception and you let go of things, you change the outcome. So
Yeah, you're talking about like perception versus truth. Like what people judge you based on is their collective perception as truth, but it doesn't make it truth because reality is perception. So
it's
everybody
percent
has
right.
their individual perception and individual reality. So in the sense, the only sense of truth is something that we can all agree upon. And I think that's where kind of like where I did like, I know you weren't very particular of ink, but I will say I saw the interview, and like what I really, really enjoyed the most about it was your intro and where you talked about consciousness. And I think that therein lies the truth, because we're all a part of consciousness. It's a stream that we are all a part of. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't matter what I fucking put on my face or on my body or whatever, or how I look or am perceived by you. It doesn't change anything inherently of the character of my body, or I mean, not my body. My body is just a fucking skin suit until it's gone. You know what I mean? We are all just energy. So
I think that a lot that happens with um, people that I've come across, we'll just say even in the last 3 weeks, they will say things to me, hey Richie, good job. But that voice you heard, this is God. And it's like, I don't like to come off as you don't know what you're talking about. And I try to exist within everybody's comments and everybody's perception of things so I can maybe take a different look or a different stance on things.
Well, this is
I
your chance to have your own perception of things without any bias or judgment. Like,
I don't
I'm
think
just,
it's
what's that? Go
no,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Brian. I'm sorry. Yeah,
No,
buddy.
you're good. I was just saying, like, I'm just trying to understand who you are a little bit more. Like what brought us to this point? Like, what, you know what I mean?
Fully.
How, yeah, like,
Fully.
yeah, like, I mean, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. We all agree that it doesn't really matter what other people say or feel.
Well, it does in a sense because without, I mean, look, there's no right or wrong. There's popular opinion,
Mhm.
and so we, like I said, I have this belief that we're fancy animals. At one point, we were walking around as hunter gatherers, fucking everything that moved to procreate, stabbing things and eating it, and living and dying in that sense. And then someone came along and said, "Hey, put this on, talk like this, wear this, do that, vote here, take us, take. We're gonna take your money, do and just we became bees and fancy animals and worker drones
Mhm.
and to me the opinion counts because I need to see and hear and feel and interact with people who might have a bias or might have their own story. So a lot of people say it's God, and I don't respond in any way, shape, or form because I don't know. I didn't ask for this. I didn't sit there one day when we're talking about how I got to where I am now. We're talking in 17 years because the like I know people. This is something I say a lot is there's the moments in between, which is that straight line between the two numbers from beginning to end, and that's the balance. That's that balance. There's moments in between. And so everything prior to that is what brought me to 2/18/06, which is the day that I felt that whatever it was, man, because I don't know what it was. I like
Yeah.
to say it was the universe because there
Mhm.
was I can't remember I can't remember who I just saw, whether it was on Lex Friedman or Rogan. I can't remember. Uh, they said that I think it was Lex Friedman. His guest said, he said, tell us about what do you think about life in the universe and things of and that he put it so well. He said that the universe, life is the universe creating memory. So this puts my brain into this point of view where I'm thinking about tentacles, and what does Marisol represent? What do you represent as far as the brain or the universe's memory? Are you part of its happiness, anger? For me, um, I mean, like in the Goonies, when Chunk, when they said start from the beginning, I mean, I'm Jewish and I was adopted. So uh, I was raised by a Russian Jew and a German Hungarian Jew. My father is Russian and my mother is German Hungarian. And they, my life was based on control and a lot of, if you do this, I'll give you that, or um, if I could ever get a book written, I would love to call it Jews Don't Do That because that's what I was told about a quarter of my life is let's go camping. Oh, Jews don't do that. And it's like, what are we talking about? What do you mean Jews don't do that? All my other Jewish friends are going camping.
Yeah, yeah. But
So
your roots are not Jewish, right?
no,
Okay.
I'm Puerto Rican and Italian. So I
Hmm.
met my biological mother. Um, there's so many things as a child that happened to me that brought me to this point. Like, I've always had a concept of good and evil. I've always chose the latter. I've always wanted to go. That people will say, "Hey, don't." My mom, I tell this to my girl all the time. They don't touch the stove, and I go like this. Well, why not? And then my mom says to me at like 6 years old, "Hey, you can do whatever you want on this planet," and that's it. And so I've lived by that. And so I said, "Okay." And she walked away. I looked around, and I touched that fucking stove. And even like a week or two later, I might have touched the stove one or two more times. So
Yeah.
I've always had this concept of I want to push the limits. I didn't do great with that for the first portion of my life. There's a lot of bumps in the road that I think some people would future trip or have flashbacks. That moment where you go, fuck, that happened.
Cringe.
And
Yeah.
yeah, cringe. I hate that word, cringe. I hate that word, but that's really what you do. You go
Yeah.
shit, and you tighten up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just I've had 7 years clean. I'm really bad with time other than '06 on. It's real
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I can tell you things from when I was a child. Any questions that I can answer them and tell you fully how I feel and what happened. But I had 7 years clean. I basically was on drugs from the time my father gave me my first Valium V cut to sleep when I was 8 or 9,
Wow.
I believe. Because he is a psychologist. He is the son of a pharmacist. And you know what I mean? To him, like, drugs are whatever it is. I had always been put in institutions, like mental institutions, when I was a child. I believe they were trying to sign me over to the state, and it just didn't work out for whatever reason.
Do you think,
Uh,
as like now looking back as a child, do you think you were like difficult, or do you think just like not really given the opportunity to like express?
I think it's both. I think I was extremely difficult, but I was being suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are a lot of things that I didn't see behind the scenes that were going on with. I was told by a couple people that I had recently seen in my junior high and high school years that were like, "Yo, you're not crazy. Your parents would call our house." And
Mm-hmm.
they talk to our parents and they'd say, "Hey, don't give him this. He can have this. He can't have that." I had no idea
What?
that this was going on. Um, I was on Ritalin up until the time I was 16, 17. And then at 18 was the last time I was like, well, we're done here. I'm not going to be taking any more medication. I'm going to try to do this on my own. And it sucks. It sucks. But I have found the formula, and things are different at this point in how I handle things. Um, I had 7 years clean. I think that I know someone right now who's going through this. People all the time call me and they ask me, "Can you sponsor me? Can you do?" And I say, "Look, I can't sponsor myself, let alone another human being, because there's still things I'm trying to figure out. But if you hang out with me, if we talk, I don't go to bars, I don't I don't do drugs, I don't drink, I don't smoke cigarettes. I'm not around people that do these things a lot. I'm just kind of filling the space with things that I used to do that I love and that I feel." And I think that we forget this as people, like, um, and I stayed clean for 7 years because a parole officer who was a girl, a woman, and another woman were in a room and told me that I was either going to do 5 years or I could just go to a rehab for 3 months when they still were giving out 3-month rehab stays. Um, but they looked me in the eye and said that they didn't think I could do it. So I literally did it for the wrong reasons. I did it for everybody else around me to prove shit to somebody.
Yeah.
And this time it's very, very different.
Can
It's
I
called a
ask you
mental.
something?
Yes.
Sorry. Do you think that any of your tattoos that you covered your body with were in the same response to like prove a point to somebody, and then maybe you covered it up for that reason?
No, I think that my tattoos, my mom would tell you, "Oh, that's a big fuck you to me." And I assure you, I was not thinking, "fuck her." I was
Yeah,
thinking
no,
like,
no. I mean, like any of your, like maybe you had old ones, like there. It's obvious you've had old ones like on your, on your face, or and then you've masked over them in the sense of like, I know you said it was like bringing the two to one. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mm,
So what I ask is like, obviously, like when not everybody, but when most people go in for something they're going to put on their body permanently, they do it for a reason. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to
hmm
understand the reason and the sense. And then if it went, like you said, we all go through phases in life and then we cross over and it becomes the new us. So that's why I asked what I was asking. If that makes
My
sense.
my tattoos on my face, a lot of them were based on graffiti things that I've done, logos, designs,
Okay.
a lot of socio-political things. Um, nothing that would be what you're saying, where it's kind of like, well, here's this. Everything I did was either I call my art contemporary nightmare art,
Okay.
and a lot of it is dreams that I've had as being lucid from when I was a child. Um, One is the Monopoly guy with a skeleton face on it, where no one's done that I had ever seen, and I call it the Death Dealer. Um, and at the time, I was walking with a cane, and I put the cane in his hand, and there's a painting that I did, something I created. It's a money sign with a noose hanging on the end of it,
Okay.
and I call it the money knot. But I put that in the hand of the Monopoly guy in the stencil I drew. A lot of these things are just for me. Um,
Yeah.
I think that when it used to be that somebody would tell me I couldn't do something and I will just do it. Like right now, I am actively going to ride a bull in April, and the steps to do this, I'm not practicing. I'm just gonna go ride this bull
Are you
because I
going to
wanted to.
drop in?
What do you mean, like in a shoot?
No,
I'm gonna
what do you
I'm gonna
mean? What do you
like
mean
a
ride a bull? Like I'm thinking
Like a
skateboarding.
bull. Like a bull.
Oh, ride a bull. I was
Yeah.
thinking like ride a bull. Like you're gonna
no no
drop
no
in and ride a bull. I was like, damn, you're gonna
no.
drop in because front
I
foot
mean,
far on the bull.
yeah
You're gonna be
yeah.
all right.
I'm gonna drop in, but it's gonna be in
Yeah.
a shoot, and I'm gonna
Damn.
tie in, and I'm gonna go. But
I want to
again,
be there.
I I'm gonna tell people exactly when it is and where it
Yeah.
is, and it's up to them if they want to show up. It's an off-season thing, but I
They
can't.
have rodeos in Philly.
Yeah, in Jersey, it's like 25
Oh,
minutes
okay.
away from here.
Okay, for sure.
But it's the first rodeo in the country, actually. It's called Cowtown Rodeo.
Oh, no.
Um,
All right.
but the season's over, and I asked the security. I said, "Man, I've been coming here 2 years." I said, "I need to know. I got to get on one of these things, or I'm never gonna. I'm. It's on my bucket list." He said, "We got to talk." He said, "Well, Richie," he's like, "Look, you come here in April, you call us, and we set you up." He's like, "There's ranchers that have 1 to 2 year old bulls, and they're big, and they want to see what they can do." And we just strap you in. Some of these cowboys here will just let you use their equipment, and you just go. And like I'm not fucking around, Frank.
No, yeah. No, dude, I
Yeah,
feel the same way. Like
like I'm not fucking around.
one of
Like,
my bucket list is I want to do the running of the bulls. I'm like, dude, if
and
Rex Ryan
yeah,
could do it, he did it twice. Like I
Yeah.
could fucking do it.
yeah, right. And
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. I feel like some people want to skydive, and I would love to skydive, but
I want to
I,
do it
I
too.
just something where I just the first time I saw it, and I was at that rodeo. The way I dress, I've only been dressing like I've always been to like punk and hardcore, and I think I was told that rockabilly and psychobilly is where punk and hardcore go to die. So like I've
Okay.
I've always been into rockabilly and psychobilly, and Marisol and I talked, over the past week, and setting this up, and similar taste in music, and I always wanted to wear a cowboy hat, but it started with the boots, man. I got the boots, and I will never not wear the boots. And then the boots turned into the belt buckle. The belt buckle turned into some shirts, and then someone was like, "I get a hat." I said, "Can't rush it." I found the perfect hat. It took a year, and I started wearing cowboy hats, and now there are about 15 of them just laying around here. And I went to my first rodeo with a friend of mine named Texas, and Texas took me there, and I was like, this is where I belong here, you know. And there's have you ever been to a rodeo? There is a sense of belonging. There is a sense of I guess harmony there, or one. No one's ever
It's like a
judged me there.
community.
It's
Yeah.
so wild.
Yeah.
Like you get the stares, but people want to ask the question. That's where,
Yeah.
if I could be anywhere for the rest of my life, that's where I would want to be. Is at that rodeo.
I'm out here in like Arizona, right by Nevada too. So like they have a lot of rodeo stuff out here
Oh
all the
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
So if
that's like intense though, like the bull. I mean, you're not gonna try and start with like the sheep or a pig first. You go straight to the bull.
I mean,
He'd be able to put his feet down on either of those animals.
yeah. I feel it's like I am, you know, I will always be a drug addict and an alcoholic. It will never not be that for me until I'm dead and clean. And I've never just done anything half-assed. You know, I jump right in, and I feel that's the way to do it. We people, you know, if I starting on things, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to just go light. It's either all or nothing.
What gives you like so much confidence to just be like, I'm gonna get in a pool?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because there's people paying so much money just to be able to like talk to a stranger out in the street, you know? Like so
Right.
just to have that confidence or that like self-worth, and like you're just like, I'm gonna go ride a bull. Like
I feel like if I can see it, I can do it. It goes back to the things I was saying before. The best examples I have are those two women told me I couldn't do it. I did it for 7 years and I got fucked up. Now, from that moment on, I was hanging around a lot of people, and I was fucked up for about a year or so. And then I'm in my truck, and you know, that thing happened, and that I described, and just from that moment on, I mean, I paint cars, and I've been doing that a long time. Someone one time said to me, "Hey, you should try graffitiing on a wall." And I didn't know what I was doing for the first 2 years, and when I was a child, I was doing it. You know, I started doing it through my life, and I got better and better and better, and I figured out that I'm like a stencil guy. I'm an elaborate stencil guy. And then later on in life, like, you know, 17, I'm sitting there and I'm going, someone said, you should really try. I didn't want to get busted for the graffiti because you could do 5 years in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Like, they're not playing games around here. And I've never been touched in that sense, like only as far as DUIs and fighting and things like that. Someone said to me, you should try doing canvas. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of scared of doing canvas. And then I got a little one. And I was like, this is too small. This is regulating my abilities here. And then I started going to 40 by 40, you know, 70 by 70, like big pieces of canvas, doing walls, you know.
Yeah.
And I had never done anything like it, and I will never not do it. And I have the confidence to do it. A clothing line. I just woke up and I started to think about designs, and I've copyrighted 3 of my designs. And they sold, and the clothing line did very well. I evened out, where I think a lot of people just go to a mall and get a vinyl stencil on a shirt and a hat, and they go, I got a clothing line. No, you don't, because you look well fed, and you have a nice car and money, and you just live in this portion of a nice area. Like people with clothing lines are artists, and they suffer, they starve. And I did that, and I hustled, and I had people that helped me through the hustle, and I'll never forget them. I just guess the confidence, everything is just art. So this is just, at this current moment, that is my art right now, is that I am going to get ready to put myself in a position that could really kill me. But I could
risk
die
it
right
for
now.
the biscuit, right?
That's it.
There's there's like two things, like, and it's funny too because one of them pertains to what you were talking about with the bull. Like, they really are thoughts that are invoked to my mind in every instance, and one of them is like, through fear lies freedom. So that's the bull one, right? And then
Correct.
the other one is, pain is the portal. And I can't take credit for that one. I can't remember exactly who said that. It was on the Bledsoe Said So podcast, but it stuck with me so much, like, because it's true. Like, I mean, like, you cannot truly enjoy or understand bliss without understanding the latter and going through the trauma that is at the opposite side of the spectrum to enjoy the bliss or create the bliss for yourself, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I look at it and I say to myself like this, right? Everybody has these cliches, and we live in this world of cliche. And I wrote this thing 17 years ago. Um, circling back to the shield that we put up, or this skin that we put on ourselves that we become comfortable with and that we get so self-absorbed in, portraying us to other people. You know, we live in this thing called the open wide space of soons. And the open wide space of soons is, I'll do it soon. I'll stop smoking soon. I'll stop getting high soon. I'll stop drinking soon. I figured out my soon was now. And the minute I did it, things started to change in the sense that at one point I think that we could smell the sky. We could hear crickets or noises that we forgot as we started to get older because we forgot about. You used to love a certain cologne or perfume of a third grade teacher. You used to love, there's things that we used to have that we remember, and then we just grow up and we forget. And I immersed myself within remembering and trying to like really digging deep as to who I am, and not being in that, not getting stuck in that oubliette of soon, and not holding myself back, taking myself out of the human race to nowhere fast, and looking around and going, what are my options here? And knowing that the cliche is, everybody says, oh, we just have, we're just a grain of sand on a beach. It's like, we're so much less than that. And the fact that there are people that I meet that they don't understand being humbled, or they don't understand gratefulness or thankfulness, and they question everything. And really, like, I'm sitting here going, okay, not only are we just a grain of sand, but we don't even get more than like a fetal glimpse of just that. It's a very small. It's not even a blink that we have to exist, and really appreciate this thing called existence. And riding a bull will put me in that gratefulness tenfold.
Yeah.
What
And then,
what do
okay.
you believe, if I could ask? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for
What
it.
do I what?
Like, what do you believe? Like, I mean, we talk about this existence, and we talk about energy, and we talk about consciousness. Like, what do you believe yourself?
I think that I think that when you take a guitar and you hit chords
Mm-hmm.
at once, it makes a harmonic, which is many sounds sounding as one in unison. And I think that we're tuning. That's all we're doing. We're just tuning, and that we are energy. We've just always been recycling, and every once in a while, that resonance of that harmonic hits, and we can sit here and talk and relate with things. And obviously, we relate on a lot of things. Like, both of you are saying things to me where um, I can relate to it, and we're tuning to one another.
Yep.
I think that this is a hard one because the way that I talk, I just think that,
It's okay though. Like, at the
yeah,
end of the day, like, I want you to be you, because at the end of the day, it's
yeah.
not about other people. It's about you, and I want to know you. I don't want to know other people.
I think human beings have fucked up this world, and I think that it like Mother Earth right now is tuning, and I don't know what. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but we keep shitting where we eat. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, man. And if you aim at that smoke, it's gonna light, you know. And I think that for me, because I can only be accountable for me and share my experience, strength, and hope with you. I think that for me, I am accountable and I don't question and I just exist. And whether this is real or not, I see it as a staging for the next portion. Like for me, I look at it like it's this staircase, and I've been trying to get my foot up on this next step, man, for what I would say would be thousands of years. And I have these 4 dogs that have always been around me, or these 5 dogs, and I feel like maybe next time now that I got this one right, I can be the dog, or maybe it. I just feel like it's reincarnation, it's energy, and I feel that if you do not take a step back from this race that we're all running, where we live on this line of trying to make money and trying to get ahead of everything and not take that step out once in a while and breathe in and release and actually take a look around us, I think that it's a shame because we don't take, like, again, we don't take notice to what our favorite, like, if I said to you, what's your favorite noise? And I had asked Marisol this earlier in the week, like, what's your favorite noise? For me, it's the 2 months or the two seasons meeting. There's one night out of the year, and I know everywhere is different, where summer meets fall. And there's this one night here in Pennsylvania where you can smell the dew coming off the grass. You can hear the crickets and existing with like the noises around you, and they all mesh into one. And it's warm enough to wear like maybe a little hoodie or a jacket and shorts or you know, and just sit outside and just exist in that. Like, so for me, I think it's such a hard question to think about what this existence. It's not for me to question, I guess. It's just for me to experience. And that is exactly what I'm to the fullest. I'm trying to experience everything I can, you know, be it bull riding, skateboarding,
Yeah.
getting tattooed, doing what I need to do to make me feel happy, to keep myself moving forward and going.
I ask because it's like I kind of have like a theory, just a theory of Frank or whatever you want to call it. But it's like,
Frank the Rabbit? Or
yeah,
Frank
sure.
the Bunny?
Yeah, you know, Frank was here, went to get beer.
Yeah.
But I look at it like, what if God's dreaming and like whatever this is that we are in is like a higher being experiencing what life is through us.
But what would it matter?
Yeah.
No, it at the end of the day, it really wouldn't. But I'm still saying, like, reincarnate or not, it's almost just perpetual.
Right.
Makes sense?
How do you feel about that, Marisol?
It's funny that you guys are talking about it because I was literally talking to someone last week about it. And it's this guy, he's so cool. He makes like memes for all the podcasts and kind of like recreates the whole episode into a really cool artistic like mishmash thing. Anyway, so I was like, what do you think our purpose is here for on earth, right? Like if we're all supposedly made in like God's vision and God's perception, or we're a piece of God, then why wouldn't he just like give us a shortcut to heaven? Why are we here hanging out on earth doing all this? And then he explained it really well. He said, we're here to experience things that you don't experience in heaven. Supposedly heaven's supposed to be perfect, but you're on earth, you experience pain, heartbreak, emotions, all kinds of feelings, smells, like your story, about your favorite sounds and everything, that you probably wouldn't experience there. So that's kind of like what I think as well too, is like just being here to experience and feel everything. I've also heard that, aliens from different planets are jealous of humans because we get to experience that, you know, and they don't get to experience that. So it's like we get to experience just being human and alive in this moment, just like you're saying. So very similar.
So the thing that I noticed is there's a few things here. So Frank never said he or she, right? You placed he on God.
Mm-hmm.
To me, in the sense of the word God, I look at it like it's an energy, like it's just a greater version of self, the universe.
Yeah.
And I think that it's anybody that says he or she, it's fine. You had said it's our existence. For me, I have to look at it like there's a selfishness and there's a good selfishness. And good selfishness for me is that I'm allowing myself to be vulnerable. Therefore, this is my existence. And I say to myself, okay, how do I experience everything as fully as I possibly can? And when you say things like, so do any of you know what I mean, I don't know if this sounds corny or not. The greatest, like, what is the best thing? Like, where do you go? I sit with my dogs. I have a coffin over here with my dogs. And I'll sit in my house and I exist with them still. And I relax or I paint. And these are things that I love doing. Everybody has something that they love doing. I guess Ram Dass, are we aware of who Ram Dass is?
Yeah.
So they said to him, what is your favorite thing in life? And I believe that he had said that he liked to be in the room with people that were about to die. And he said, you cannot experience that type of truth. And it's like, you're almost like consuming this energy. It's like they say, like, my girlfriend will say, people tell her that when you bang young people, you feel this energy, like it's that sex magic. And I guess it's the same concept is that it's this magic that's in the air when people are dying, that you're catching this truth and this openness and this release. I think that when we question things, we have a tendency to put everything on hold. You know, I do. I put everything on hold when I start questioning things. And I found it that when I just open up everything and I just say, okay, look, today, this is it. I'm just going to stay here within this moment, not think about experience or heaven or a hell or a God or things of that nature. So I think I'm still learning. I think we all, my purpose, for me is learning, right? And teaching. So it's kind of like breathing. It's like everything that I learn, this thing that I said in the video, that's tribal knowledge, I consume it like it's food, words. I consume it like it's food. And then anything that I can do to teach somebody something, like something stupid as you want to see if those pants fit you in Walmart. If you take them, zip them, button them, and put them around your neck, and it touches in the back of your neck, if the pants touch, those pants will fit you. Did you know that?
No.
No? I promise. Okay, so you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's wild, dude.
Stupid tribal knowledge, dude. Try it.
Right.
And if you remember to do it, go into
I'm
Walmart.
I'm gonna try that shit.
Take trust. Be a Jedi.
So you take the crotch and put the crotch here, and then you hold it back here, and it's like me.
Yeah. So the zipper's here. It'd be like putting the pants on your neck while they're zipped and buttoned up.
The waist part.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Have you done
the waist part? Oh, you do the waist part.
Frank was gonna go like this.
I was gonna do it with the leg.
No. But you can do that too. Do that too. You can do it both ways, man. But if you do that, some dude told me that shit. I have this Israeli friend years ago, in this store. He's like, Richie. He's like, you just do this with the waist. I swear to God. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, you're trying to clown me because there's 15. This is on South Street. Okay, and at the time, South Street was banging every Friday night. And I went in, there's people in the store, and he goes, just try it. I promise you. He's like, I'll bet you $100 right now. I didn't bet him the money, but I tried it, and then I went into the fitting room. I was like, son of a bitch. So that's the thing. We're all laughing.
Yeah.
It's what can you experience that's even the dumbest thing in your mind that you could actually just teach to somebody? Because
Yeah.
whatever the fuck is going on out there right now, no one is teaching anybody anything. Everybody's gathering this shit off of the internet, and it's not real.
Fast knowledge. Yeah.
It's like a
Right.
double-edged sword. Like, it's so good, but it's fucking bad too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's too good because we rely on it.
It's addictive. And
Yeah.
I mean, even
Well, it's meant to be that way. They did that on purpose.
so I think with that's how I feel about everything around me. I don't know. Talk to me. Ask me some more questions.
Have you heard of Steiner, like Rudolf Steiner, and his
I
like
have not.
teachings? So he kind of believes in like nature and learning from nature. And the story that you just told me about, you know, Ram Dass, like being around dead people. He has this one like ritual that helps you get in touch with nature, where you find like a dead animal that's dying, like out in nature, and you watch it and you study it, and you go out there every day and you see the different processes of like rigor mortis that it's going through or whatever, you know, just kind of like becoming nature again and opening yourself to that, going back, journaling about it, and like really experiencing death and like what death looks like. And then after that, going back out into nature and becoming one with creation of nature. So watching a tree grow and like visiting that tree every day, or like a flower, budding flowers, and then watching them open up until they're fully open, and the opposite of death, right? So that just reminded me of that. But and then like also being in the moment of like living, and he's like, that's doing that, well, just practicing that is going to put you back into that moment of like creating and like alchemizing and being present in the moment and open for new experiences, a lot like of what you were talking about. And I actually wanted to ask you to tell your story about that moment you had in the car, because I don't think you said it on the podcast. I know you've told me it, but what made you become sober?
So I was drinking 2 bottles of 151 a day in an hour every day for 2 years, because I was so scared to go back to heroin. And I never shot heroin. I was only snorting it, and I was eating 20 yellow school bus Percocets a day, chewing them, being in and out of West Philly, North Philly, South Philly, and everything accumulated to the point where I had gotten a number of DUIs within a month's time. Particularly one of these DUIs, I had gotten to a fight with the cop where I wound up kicking the cop. The cop beat the shit out of me, and there was a lot of things that were happening. And this would go back to Frank's thing where he says, the Metatron.
Bro, Father of the Bride's so good, dude.
Frank,
so good, dude.
So, I told you I'm not really good with years, so I can loosely say circa, which is probably my favorite word. I want to say probably around 06, so it would be like 2004 is when I relapsed, and from that 7 years, and I didn't want to go back to heroin. We were stealing cars, we were doing dumb shit, working in body shops, doing wild things, and I was hanging out with these people that could get me. I found a cancer patient that before fentanyl was a thing, they used to call them perk pops, and they looked like Q-tips, and we found this cancer patient that just wanted heroin. They wanted Works. And Works here in the city at the time, you get a needle, a spoon, and a lighter and some heroin. And it works. You can shoot it like it's ready to go. So we would get either Works or a bundle for this cancer patient, and they would give us their patches, the original patches that you could like crack open and eat. Or they would
The
give us
fentanyl ones, right?
the
They're
fentanyl
like
ones,
clear.
right, but they would call them perk patches because fentanyl it wasn't even a
Yeah.
word, I don't think, back then for
Yeah.
people. And so,
And they lasted like 36. You're
oh,
supposed to not
dude,
only for like 36
one,
hours or some
yeah,
shit.
dude, it's like 3-4 days, dude. So
Yeah.
like, people are fucking. So we would we would I would eat these pops, and I just was terrified to go back to heroin. So I never drank, and I started drinking. And the way that I relapsed is that, and this is all relevant to what you had asked about the truck.
Mhm.
So people need to understand, like, you know, um, I I had met someone had come to my house to fix a computer, and my father brought this person to my house. I used to DJ, and when I say DJ, I mean like I used to draw out 200 people. I used to go around the country and spin with all these people like vinyl, acid hardcore, gabbercore, and I had my turntable set up in my house. Now I'm clean at the time, 7 years clean. The guy comes in and he just looks at me, Haitians, all right, and he looks at me and he's got dreadlock. He's like, yo, you'd like my friend, so and so, and I really don't want to say his name because I've never told him this, and
Yeah.
that's like my brother.
You're good.
The reason that 90% of drug addicts relapse, if not all of them, it's because we meet somebody that doesn't know our past. And so this man didn't know my past and just looked at me in that voice and was like, hey, man, you want to smoke this blunt? You know what I mean? In like a very Haitian Creole sounding voice. And I was like, yeah, let's smoke this blunt. Like, yeah. And then the guy that my father introduced me to fix this computer, it was just us three sitting there. My father wasn't there. And then he left, and I'm left with this dude, and we just started DJing back and forth, smoking blunts. And he was like, "You want to go get some beer?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we got some beer, and we started drinking, and we basically, for like 3 days, just stayed in my house, DJing, and where I only knew acid music, he was teaching me hip hop, reggae, compa, soca, Trinidadian, African, and he's showing me, and we're going back and forth, and we're mixing. And if you're a musician, I mean, like,
That's
I wasn't just
huge.
a DJ, I was a musician. I could take
No.
3 lines from a record, 4 lines from another. I could use 3 turntables at one time, and I could use those 3 lines, 9 lines, and make it last 2 hours, and you'd never know the difference. So I'm making music with these samples that I'm using, and he's showing me a whole new language. And
Giving you
this
like
is,
a versatility you never even
yeah,
existed.
but without saying, do it this way. He would just
Yeah.
get on and just start mixing. I'm like, how the fuck is he doing that?
Yeah.
And so this started to take off, and I just started getting worse and worse. I mean, like, I lost everything within 3 months. I lost where I was living. I lost everything. And then I just started to go off into the city, and I started mixing at like different African clubs, Haitian clubs, Jamaican clubs in the city, hanging out with Haitians, and so an old woman put me downstairs with a friend of mine who is Haitian, and said she used to sell you see me squirming, right? I have to like rehash this. um, she would sell kebabs at the end of the night, and she had been seeing me, and really she had been feeling me, all right, for months, and she just never said anything. And I walked downstairs and she stopped my friend and she said, "Who is this man?" In Creole. And they're speaking in Creole this entire time.
Yeah.
And I'm drunk. And at this point, my habit was about 2 bottles of 151 or a lot of vodka. Uh, I wasn't a drinker. When I found out I had a tolerance, it was to the moon. And she asks him about me. And when we leave, he tells me, he says, he's like, "Richie," he's like, "Look, this woman, she believes that you are the reincarnation of two parts of a deity, a Haitian deity, um, and the tongue and the voice of this particular deity. And as you see, like when I speak, people, I guess, have a tendency to listen or want to talk more to me. It's a rolling wheel." And uh, asked him specific questions about me, whether I was around dogs a lot, and everything she said was true. And I looked at him like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Yeah. And so we left that club, and a year goes by. I'm getting worse and worse. I'm getting DUIs and not thinking about that spiritual moment, because that is a dropped pin at that night when he had asked her, or she had asked him questions about this. And so the specific deity uh, would be the Legba or the Baron, and it is basically the Metatron
So is that
of
Papa Legba?
it would be it
Yeah.
would be. Uh, so it's all about divisibility. Um, the the rest of that year I spent just deconstructing myself. Um, the walls started closing in. I I couldn't do anything without drinking. I'd wake up and I'd be shaking. I'd have to drink at work. I would go to work. I'd be robbing people on the job, like stealing their alcohol. I wasn't even stealing money. I was stealing alcohol because I had to live. Um, I there was a moment where I went to college. I was kind of forced into something that I really didn't want to do by my parents. Went to college for computers, and I hate computers. I don't hate a lot of things, but I hate computers. I hate fucking computers. And so I'm up at college in Williamsport, and it's Christmas time. And like again, this is all relative to where I go from there. I My parents wouldn't let me come home because I was so fucked up. Understandably, but not really. They turned the heat off in the apartment, and I don't know if you know about like Williamsport, but the air gets so cold that it freezes, and you're basically breathing in liquid ice. And I got lung problems. I have asthma, so there was a moment where I had called my mother, and I had a gun to my head, and she basically blew it off. And I got up and I walked into the bathroom, and I believe that particular night that I had sold my soul to the devil, and in the bathroom, and continued to go on like that and get high. And I got clean for the 7 years, because that was all out of high school. And that brings me up to where I'm at now. And well, not right now, but with you know what was happening in Philly in around 04, 05. When I got into this fight with this cop, I had to run for a while. I ran down south, and I went to South Carolina, and I opened a record business. And I was doing residencies at like a music farm, and producing with people, and hiding. But you can run. The problems are always going to find you. They're always going to find you. It doesn't matter where you go or how far you go, or you go to a rehab. If you're doing it for the wrong reasons, it's going to catch you. And the walls started closing in on me. My situation down there, that's a whole nother wheel that we could talk about maybe another time. But I got scammed down there. I had to hightail it back to Philadelphia, and when I came up, I just started couch surfing. Um, Dated women that I didn't want to really date, because out of necessity, staying on couches, and then eventually that last couch came. I had alienated everybody, and I can only be accountable for myself. And all my friends died from suicide, drugs and alcohol, or just dying because live by the sword, die by the sword. They're all dead. I legit, I think there's nobody that's still alive that was doing drugs with me back then. No one.
Wow.
And that's about 50 people. It was, it's really gray. It's like I say 2/18/06 is my clean date, right? Um, but the problem is I there was like a day where, so I was in my is the world gonna end?
I don't know what that. I don't know what
I'm
that.
ready.
What is that? What is that?
So
One.
I guess I was around. I was in my parents' neighborhood, and I was in my truck, and I don't even. I think I was. I don't even know if I had money at that time to get drunk or, get high. And I just, I was laying on my turntables and all my records with like a mat, and I had two blankets, and I was about 100 to 150 yards from my family's house. I couldn't go near them. My family's really fucked up. Like they they would love nothing more than to call the cops on me and say, "See, he's crazy," you know. So I couldn't go there, and it's so wild. Uh, it would be like I described it like swinging a bat underwater. And just to clarify, it would be like if you took a box or a wooden box and you just lay like you put some sort of gelatin. Do you remember in The Abyss when they put that rat in the water and they suppress the rat in the water to breathe underwater?
Mm-hmm.
It would be like if you put somebody in that and they just were just existing in this gelatin. Like it was just it surrounded the immediate area of me, and I was crying, and it just was like everything slowed down around me, and I just really crisp and really, it was real soft, but it was loud to me. But I knew it was a whisper, and it just said, "Have you had enough?" And it wasn't me going. It just was yes. And as soon as that came out, everything, but it showed me everything. It showed me everything as far as my life, but it showed me in energy. I don't know. You know, um, and it it happened like that one other time that intense, and I was from that day on. The next day, I went to a bar with an ex-girlfriend of mine who, to this day, uh, God bless her. Like I used to treat her like shit, and I love her to death. You know, she was married, she has kids now. Like she's doing great. Her name's Jen, and so Jen was. I called her up. I said, "I'm done." She goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Come pick me up." And we went to this bar around my house and or my parents' house, and I lined up. I told the bartender I want 15 double lemon drop shots and just leave a plate of sugar and lemon at the end of the table. And I hit that, and that was the last time I drank. I went to my mom. I knocked at her door. I said, "Please don't call the police. I'm going to turn myself in," and that's it. And that's all I did. I just, from that day on, which I believe was the 18th, I turned myself in. I did my time. Jen drove me to the prison. Well, she drove me to the recovery house. I went to the judge. Judge said to me, "You can't stay at this recovery house." And I was like, "You know what? Fuck it." I still had a bad attitude. I wasn't like something touched me, and I was like,
Yeah.
I was still a fucking asshole, and I didn't want to go to jail. But this thing, whatever it was, that's when the first time I had heard it again in my head was like, it's gonna be okay. Show up to court, do what you gotta do. And so, win or lose, just go, go, do what you have to do. You sewed this, like, you put this together. You have to go take it apart. You have to go build something new, and this is where it starts. I went to court. Judge said, you're going to go do this much time. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I don't care. There was a waiting list for this recovery house. And so I went to prison. My father, I called him. He basically told me that I was dead to the family. I said, be careful what you say, because there's certain things you can't come back from. Statements. And he hung up on me. And I didn't call anyone, write anybody, nothing, the entire time I was in there. It was different this time when I was in prison, because I had been in and out a lot, during my life. And it was different, though, this time. I didn't talk to anybody. I wasn't jailing. I wasn't hanging out. I was just doing my time. And this is where I started to read, because I forgot how to read and consume words as if they were food, mental food. And I started consuming these words. It started real small. I could only read like horrible ADD. I'm a comprehensive and a reference being and a contemplative being. And now I have to teach myself again to be these beings, these states of beings that I used to be. And so I would start with 5 words, and I put the book down. And then I would, come back and do 10 words. Now I can read a full page, and I can remember these things. I think I have a phone call. It's so weird. So you can still hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I get out of prison. I go to this recovery house, because the guy who was running it says to me, his name was Steve, real good man, says to me, Richie, this bed's going to be waiting for you. There's like a 2-year-long waiting list for this recovery house, but we're gonna hold this bed for you because we see it. So I get out and I go to this recovery house, and I have one more case to beat in Philadelphia at that point in time. And again, I go to the courthouse. I am looking at, because of my priors and things of that nature, probably about 5 years in prison, state prison. I'm like, I don't know if I am. I think I'm built for prison, because I know how to survive. That's all I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I go to court. I go in. She starts reading off names, and she says to me, oh, Mr. So-and-so, the clerk of courts, they're waiting for you. So we're going to get to your case at the end of the day. We're going to go through all these other ones, because yours is just real cut and dry. They're just going to take you to state prison. And I was like devastated, just everything, like, fuck. And I'm sitting there. She comes to me, and I mean, this is like 4 or 5 hours later, because there's 15 people in this courtroom. Philly court ain't no joke. She starts to talk about my case to me. She stands me up. She says what she's saying, and this man stands up and he says, Your Honor, can I see that file? Can I see this young man's file? She goes, I don't know why you would want to do that. He's like, I'm just, give me 5 minutes. She's like, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. I can't make this up. The man exists that this happened with, right? Like, you could look him up. He's probably still practicing law in Philly. He starts going over my file. They take a 5-minute recess, and he goes, hey, Rich. He goes, are you fucking stupid? I said, no, man. I just lost my footing. That's it. I lost my footing. I let shit get out of control. It's not like that anymore, regardless of whether I got to go or I don't. Like, I just lost my footing. He's like, yeah, I see that. I see where you went to school. I see what you've done. I see where you went to college. I see that you're a smart kid. He's like, look, he's like, I'm going to take this case on. We're going to see what we can do with it. And I said, well, I was like, you think I'm going to have to go to prison? He's like, not if I have anything to do with it. And he goes and he puts the file down, and it, again, you remember these, it's memory, muscle memory, everything just went into slow motion again. And as he put that thing down, everything around me went into slow motion, and I couldn't hear. It just sounded like reverb, but your ears, like we're being, held closed, and then the next thing I know, I heard the gavel, and I heard, Mr. Grossman, there's I don't know if restitution or whatever money is left for you from the case. You're free to go. It's at the front desk for you. Don't let me see you in my courtroom again. Boom. And
Wow.
I didn't know what happened. Now look, I'm not a gangster. I'm not a mob. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like a murderer. I'm not this crazy criminal. Just like I have a criminal past. Like, it's strictly criminal. You know what I'm saying? And ACAB. But at the same time, like, I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? And I know the feeling. I know what just happened in that sense. I'm like, it just happened again. He goes, come on, Rich. He's like, let's go get this thing. I go outside and I go, dude, it was a $1,300 made to cash check that they handed me. I said, dude, what public defender's office do you work for? I was like, you can have this fucking money because I don't give a shit about this bullshit. Like, this is just money. It's not even real. I said, you can take it. He goes, Richard, my name is Richard Hoy. He said, I am a $5,000 to $10,000 lawyer, and I, for some reason, just felt compelled to help you. He's like, go get your license. Don't drive. Don't fuck up. Keep your money. Get right. And for a while, I would call or email Hoy, and I would talk to him. And I just remember going out back of that courthouse, and I hit my knees and started to cry hard. Like, not an upset cry, just all that negativity just came right out. It just came right the fuck out. I came back to Doylestown in Bucks County from Philly on the train, and the man that I saw says to me, and like, there's history even with this man. All right, there's all these things in my life are like, there's people that have. It's just very weird how things are lined up, and synchronicity. And so this guy, his whole family knows my mom, who was a Spanish teacher for like 20, 30 years. He has like 15 brothers, and he looks at me, he goes, hey, what's up, Richie? What's up? And I start to cry, and he goes, oh my God. He's like, dude, he's like, that's God, man. He's like, I can feel it. And he immediately, this is not someone that does this, grab me and hug me and just embraced that energy right there. And I just started to cry because um I didn't I didn't know what to do at that particular moment in time because I had never felt anything like that in my entire life. And um I never questioned anything after that. So that voice has never left. It's there. It was there this morning. It was there 20 minutes ago when I was in the shower. It's it's just always there. It doesn't say, go find a 1925 nickel on the street outside, take it to a man named Bernie in a building that's gray, and go do this and get the letter and go give it to the wizard over there in Kensington. Like, it's not doing that. It's just saying, it's hard to explain because it happens in the moment. I shut my eyes, the steam from the shower, the silence, or I'm playing. I understand at the hertz at which I resonate. I believe I'll have to send it to you, but I know it. So I know the meditational hum that I have to have, the chant, the mantra, or the Om mantra, the Ohms. And so I'm playing that very, very quietly in the background, and I'm centering. And I don't even want to say I'm meditating. I'm just tuning. And sometimes I just sit in the quiet and I just
Do you have,
start talking.
do you have crystal bowls? Have you ever tried
No,
like a sound bath?
I'm not a very big guy on that.
Really?
I just,
Or
yeah,
like tuning
because
forks?
no, I'm not. Again, I think that if you have to do all that shit,
Mhm.
like, I don't like to force things. And
Okay.
so for me, I close my eyes and I just start talking, and and I know when it hits because I see the color purple and green in front of me, in behind my eyes, and it will start telling me. It'll say, "Keep going, Richard. Keep moving forward. This is what it is, and this is why people this, and you have to look at it like that." And this, it will tell me these things. And I just, uh, I don't know what it is. I will never claim to know what it is. I don't question it. I thank it, and you know, there's no. I have no strings attached to me. I have cut my strings. There is nothing for me to prove. There is nothing that I am hiding. There's nothing that I haven't talked about. There's nothing that I'm not willing to talk about. And life is really tough. And you just have to punch through it. And that's what happened in the truck, Marisol. In depth. That's what
Yeah.
happened.
That's
I like it.
yeah.
I got a question.
Yes.
So you're talking about
Me too.
Yes. So like you were talking about the Haitian lady and asking if you were like fond of dogs, etc., and it spurred in me like so I don't know, he's out that way in Jersey, like Jersey bitches,
Yeah,
fucking what's it, Joey Diaz,
Joey.
Uncle Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, and he talks about how back in the day his mom dated a guy, and he was in like I don't even I don't remember what it was called, but it was like a like Haitian type Brotherhood of Lazarus or something. But it was all about like they had the tattoo of Lazarus with the dogs and etc. And he was like, dude, I remember this guy was beating his dog, and he was like, don't hit that dog again. And the guy hit the dog again, and he kicked the shit out of the guy and was giving the dog water and whatnot. You know what I mean? So, is that like, am I off at all? I don't know. I don't know the.
I am not part of any sect or denomination of.
I didn't mean you specifically, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I know. Am I off? Is it like Haitian? I don't know if it was that or if it was like, because I know that there was Santeria that they were all into over there too.
I think that he just saw the guy beating a dog and really didn't want him beating that dog. You know,
Well, he
I
was a
don't
kid.
know.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
Oh, I got you. Yeah. No, I
yeah.
got you. Yeah.
You know, I listen. I think I can't explain. It's it's the belief in. So the visibility is very important for me to put out my practices. Would be me. I don't know how to even convey that to somebody. Um, the lineage of voodoo starts in Africa. 99% of the people on earth don't even spell it right, but they fear it. Um, for me, it's more of a somatic thing where a lot of it happens in lucid dreams, um, where it is the mediator between the living and the dead in the somatics. And so, again, the contemporary nightmare art. Dreams have been a very big part of my life. So I guess you could say in theory, like I'm Jungian, and uh, I had this dream after that conversation he had with her, and after him pulling me aside, and uh, I walked into my house knowing in the dream, I walked into my house and I knew that I was dreaming. Okay, it's not this one that you see right now, but it was another one, and I walked into the kitchen and I see this Haitian woman, older, heavier set Haitian woman, on a stepping stool, and she had this tin, like a surgical tin can for, I can't remember what the hell they're called, but they clean off, like tattoo artists used to use them in their, like house tattoo artists used to use them. It like vibrates and it cleans us a sonic something or whatever. It looked like a little medical dish is what it looked like. And there was
Okay.
this weird oil in this dish, right? And without using her mouth, telepathically in my tongue said to me, "This is the burner." And there was this flush mount on the top of the ceiling in my kitchen. And I just looked at this flush mount. She said, "This specific type of light heats up this oil, this special oil, and it almost creates like, you know, that liquid magnets. So when they turn on the magnet, it kind of like looks like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
wave file, or so
Yeah.
it kind of looks like that. Um, and when it does that, that's the dead communicating, and they want to be close to that burner. And so you don't want to let them into that oil because they will release. And so out of that, I have a painting in my room that I will never sell, and I will only give it to my girlfriend, my current girlfriend, because I'm thinking she's the only one that can handle it. I did a painting of the burner, and you definitely see faces in it. There's no denying it, and you know it's like an hourglass, but of life. I turn it during different cycles. When this thing that I experienced tells me to turn it. So I don't know. I don't know if that's relevant to anything that we're talking about. But again, I think the Metatron. I don't know about. Um, I think that the correlation between Papa and the dogs is that they're packs. They stick together. They'll come back to you. They're loyal. They retain souls. Uh, and that's really I don't know about the I mean I read on it, but again, for me to start to talk about it out loud, that would put certain people in direct contact with me, and that's not something that I'm looking for.
Understandable.
You know. Mm. What are your thoughts, Marisol?
I'm just thinking about the dogs and the story that you told me about them being under your bed in the coffin
Uh, well,
and like the whole process. Yeah.
so did she tell you about that, Frank?
Briefly, but I was like, oh, I'm sure we'll talk about it on the podcast.
So I put this dog named Sassy down. Sassy was the first dog I had. I had a dog named Boomer, and I had to give him up. I lost him because of my addiction. And I swore that when I got clean that I would never lose another dog. Like people cop out and they say, "Oh, I had to get rid of him because of the apartment I was living." Oh, hey asshole, you took the dog on. You better live and die with that dog. You know,
Mhm.
see it through. So I kept myself alive for a year outside of that recovery house. Um, I got kicked out of that recovery house because I complained about the plumbing. By the way, just saying that. So
So
if you hear
bougie.
it, yeah. So um, so I get to this house. I keep myself alive. I function for 1 year. I shut my mouth at meetings and just listen and take everything in. And I do it a different way than myself because the cliche is that, you know, hell is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results.
Mhm.
And so I tried to do it a different way by listening and being humble and, you know, becoming accountable for all my actions. And I get this dog named Sassy from this organization around Philly, and she's 2 years old when I get her. And I just, my fascination with dogs, I used to train police canine and Schutzen canine um, as a helper. So I wore the suits and things like that. And I started to take up on helmet raisers, perspective on police canine, der Schutzen, the protection, you know. So I always wanted to know about what can I do with something that can't communicate with the use of voice. And I start to train this dog And the first thing I do is I teach her how to find money. And the way I do it is that I just take a dollar bill and I put it at the bottom of her food. And every time I play with her, I cut a hole in a tennis ball and I shove money in there. And I'll just say cha-ching or whatever the key word is, money, find money or dinero, whatever you want to program the dog. And I would hide the ball and she would go and find it. So now she's smelling this. So I I start developing a relationship with this dog and I keep her alive for 13 years of my sobriety or 14 years of my sobriety. I see the dog through. It's the first thing that I have ever seen through in my entire life. But I took the dog to the SPCA and it was really shitty. It was a shitty experience. They just took the dog, told me, go into this room, put the dog on that table. The doctor will be in a minute to put her down, and then they leave the room. Now I had this dog. This dog is very
So
important.
desensitized. They're like, we do this
Yeah,
all the time. Yeah.
all the time. Or just a machine. So I put the dog down and I tell him, I'm like, I'm gonna take the body, I'm gonna take the dog with me. You can't do that. We'll have the police come here. You can't take the body. I'm like, well, this is my dog. Well, we'll sell you the ashes for like $1,000. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me right now. I don't even know if I'm gonna get my dog's ashes back. You're just kind of scooping ashes out of a burner that you're gonna give to me. And that was the last dog that I will lose on that level. And so I had a 185-pound, 6-foot tall King Corso. Before people were getting these dogs, when they just made them legal, I got one from the Amish, and I started brokering these dogs, finding out about the breed. And I also had a dog named Monkey, who was just like a pit mix. Worked with him. The way that I got that dog is I took him from a deaf crackhead. I couldn't let the dog was gonna be sold to me for $60.
Okay, I'm
What's
sorry,
that?
but you literally just mentioned like getting a dog from an Amish and then a deaf crackhead.
Well, so the order was Sassy, Monkey, Chubby, Mush. These are the order of the dogs that I got. Sassy was a pit mix from this organization in Philly. And then I wanted another dog at the time. I was married and I was going to get separated. So I got another dog for Sassy. And this guy told me to go to this person in North Philly. And I went and she was deaf. There were naked babies running around. And I had been in
Wow.
Kensington. I was a few years clean at this point, or 5 or 6, maybe 7 years clean. And I said, "There's no way I'm giving you money for this dog because the dog's not even 6 weeks old, and you're just going to spend this money on crack
Mm,
or whatever you're
okay.
doing." I said, "I'll tell you what, Target's right there. I'm going to go buy you like a month's worth of formula, and I'll get you diapers, and you can give me the dog, and or I can take the dog." And so I got the dog, and I gave her the formula and the diapers, and that was it. Um, and then I got Chubby, which is the Cane Corso. Chubby was the first one. I had to put 2 dogs down this past year. So
Wow.
Chubby was the first one. Uh, Special dog. I knew it was coming. I saw it happen. These dogs usually only last 8 years. If they get anything else, because their hips go, and once their hips go, like you can spend the thousands of dollars, but I'm not that guy. Like,
Mm,
good run. You know, I look at death different. I look at it as a celebration, and that you should exist within that energy's lifetime and reflect on it in a positive manner, that you're going to another level of somewhere else that's better than right here. And that I've learned these things from you. And so with dogs, it's the same way, with me at least. So I had a 5.5-foot coffin built out of pine. It's legit a toe pincher. It's a coffin.
Mhm.
And me and my girlfriend Freya, we we upholstered it ourselves. We painted it. We fixed it. It looks legit. We put a plexiglass cover on the inside so you can see in. And I had given my skulls or my dog's bodies. There's a place called Lap of Love. Um, they come to your house. They're vets, and they come to your house and they put your dog down for you in any environment. You can go to a park, you can do it at your house, you can do it at the dog's favorite place. It gives you the ability to put the dog down the way that you choose to put the dog down in a comfortable setting and environment where the dog's not freaking out and you don't leave empty-handed thinking like, God, that fucking sucked, or I'm a piece of shit or whatever it is. So I call Lap of Love, and they're worldwide. So I believe, well, at least I know they're in this country. They're nationwide here. You can go on Instagram and look them up. The vet comes out, and he says, look, this is on your time. He's like, give the dog whatever you want to give him to eat, keep him busy. Said, I'm going to administer the first shot, and then it's on you. You tell me whenever you're ready. He's like, I'm yours all day. And so, with Chubby, I played, I believe it's the drop kick. I can't remember if it's drop kick, but I played, If I Ever Leave This World Alive. And I played, I believe that, in some way or another, I feel like I respect the Native American community. So I play a lot of war chant because those dogs were dogs of war, bred by the Romans, Caesar. And I put this dog down to that type of music, and I gave his body to a friend, and it took about a year, and he gave me back Chubby's skull, and the heart. And I did the same thing with Monkey, and I took Monkey to a taxidermist. I got a 12 by 12 inch portion of his fur. I got his heart, and I have Monkey's skull, and I had this coffin made, and now they will be with me forever as long as I'm here. And then the third one, Mush, when he's ready to go, like, that's what I'll do with him. And then maybe one day I can go in there with them.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like I sit with them and I exist with them all the time. The crazy thing is, and it's not crazy, but where I put them down in my house, in my apartment, there's these lofts in each room. So there's steps that go up. So I put them down underneath where I lay my head. So underneath, like on the ground. And I just had a dream. I was just talking to my girlfriend about it the other day. She had asked me about Monkey. She said, which one was Monkey? And I said, Monkey was the brown pit bull. And she goes, I think that Monkey in my dream came to me. And I go, yeah, like they'll do that. Like I was having this dream about the future where I was running around Earth or something. And then just right out of context, I saw Chubby walking up. And Chubby walked up and just laid down. I said, I was like, what are you doing here? And the dog just laid on me in the dream was probably like, it's a second, but it seemed like 20 minutes, and just laid on me and just had me petting him and then walked away. And I consider that a visit, it's calming. It's to know that I have that here. Some people are like, you're crazy for having that. I said, oh, really? I said, there's people that have deer skulls on their walls.
True.
I was like, how do you think that happens? Like, do you think they just acquire a deer skull? I'm like, you just don't do that,
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, dude, because that's like my latest artist endeavor is faux taxidermy. I want to do a freaking Texas Longhorn on my wall, but I want to do it with strips of cardboard and just do the whole thing, and then do it just a giant freaking Texas Longhorn on my wall.
Made out of cardboard, like the real one.
Yeah, like it'll be a 3D depiction of a Longhorn, but I'm gonna do it in like 2-inch strips of cardboard. So I'll do like you have the base, and you start like the neckline, and then you hot glue one over it, and then you do another one. And you just continue.
Wow, I get it.
And then do like the ringed out horns, and so it'll look like a fucking Texas Longhorn, but it's cardboard.
That's pretty cool. Or you could just go get one.
They're expensive, dude. They're so expensive.
I know. I hear you. I have a set of horns. I had them on my truck. I gave them to the girl. She gets everything. She gets everything. She's allowed to have anything she wants in this house.
That the story that you told me about, being able to like feel their energies and stuff from them being under your bed reminds me of, I don't know how we always end up talking about this, but that grave soaking I was telling you about, Frank, with the Bethel Church out here in California.
Yeah.
They go and they'll sit on graves of like different people, like different celebrities or people that have passed in the, like George Washington or whatever, and they'll sit on their grave and they call it grave soaking because they feel they're trying to like harness the energy of that person's life. And they do it and they're Christian. But yeah, it's so crazy. Like, I don't know how, but every time we talk to someone on our podcast, that usually comes up.
Maybe it's something you have to look into. Maybe you should go do that.
Go grave soak.
Yeah.
Or just research it and find out like the origin and derivatives, the etymology of such.
I mean, they're crazy though. They're a little like far out there because they had a recently they had a little girl drown and she was part of their community and they believed that she was going to come back. She was going to reincarnate. So they like refused to say that she passed away and like they wouldn't bury her or anything. They had her body. Like they thought she was going to be like, just like Jesus for weeks and wouldn't do anything with it. So they were just praying and it was like hashtag like pray for Olive on Instagram and stuff. So
they got arrested, didn't they?
I don't know what they like kind of went away after that. Like they didn't cover it anymore. I don't know what happened, but they were trying to like, they were not accepting the fact that she had passed.
Sick? Yeah, or dead. Okay. So I mean, I'm thinking of another story, man. Yo, listen, we as humans are just, don't forget, we're just animals. Like recently we learned how to talk, and we're just animals.
Yeah.
Just wild how different strokes for different folks. It's wild. Yeah. I mean, it's what it is. You might not agree with it, but I don't know. I wouldn't do anything like that, but
some people like their cucumbers better pickled.
Yeah. So what else
about,
do you want?
So like dimensions, right? So like as humans, they say our reality, we can only perceive 8% of it because, or matter, we can only perceive matter, and matter consists of 8% of the universe. Right. So that other 92%, like, you know what I mean? And I kind of feel like sometimes like maybe that's what ghosts are, or this or that. Like maybe we're all coexisting on the same plane, but we can only see a certain spectrum or experience a certain spectrum. I don't know.
I have been breaking into abandoned mental institutions, going into cemeteries, doing weird shit my entire life. I have the closest, I feel that everything is based in dreams. And the closest that I had ever come to a ghost would have been in a dream that I had based in this place that you're seeing right now. The way that I can explain it or tell you how it happened was I was, again, lucid in the dream, and I saw a door in my bedroom that didn't belong there. And I was like, oh, this is a dream. And I stood up and I walked over to the door and I opened it, and something just pushed me, but it put everything in slow motion. And I was like, well, this is just like that energy, but this is the best way I could describe as a ghost. Like, there's no other way that I can describe it. But that's the closest thing. I don't, Frank, I try not to like question things. I don't. The dimension thing is, I understand it. It's fascinating to me, and I like to play with theories and look at them. Can I prove it? Do I know if it's real? Do I know that that's happening? I don't know. It's the same thing with life on other planets. You'd be a fool to think that some sort of life doesn't exist on other planets.
Yeah.
I try to just be as present as I possibly can.
The best way I can explain it is like how you said with the bull, and like the reason I ask is it isn't so much that I want to know or I need to prove anything. To me, it's I want to experience it.
Yeah.
Just like you said. Like I want I want it all. Like, you know what I
Now.
mean? Well, not even now. Like, I know that what is meant for me or what is meant to be mine will be mine when it is my time to have it. But it's like the best. That's like for me. Okay, so like I would consider myself somewhat like a psychonaut. Like I feel like all of life is found within the recesses of the mind, and we are within the mind. And who am I not to observe and explore and investigate every source of such that I can, if that makes sense. And it's not so
Yeah.
much as to take all of it in or anything like that, or it's to be an observer. Like my sole purpose is to be an observer and observe everything that I see and experience. And so why would I limit my experience to the experiences that are given to me? Why wouldn't I seek out other experiences that are hidden from me?
I'm assuming, do you read a lot, Frank?
You know what? Honestly, I don't. I really need to. I
I
listen
think
to a lot of.
you read more than the average
I
person.
do, but I intake a lot of what I would consider senseless knowledge, but I I guess it's not senseless. To me, it
It's
seems
not. It can't
senseless.
be senseless. Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems senseless in the moment, but it tends to help people at other times.
If you're getting your knowledge from TikTok and Instagram, it's kind of senseless. But
Yeah.
the so there's a great book. When
What is it?
I'm
I
very
want to write it
I,
down.
I should be. A lot of people like you should be a lawyer. You should be I should be a film director because I'm looking at what these people are doing. These great film directors is Reuben Conard was the Hurricane. That's who Bob Dylan was singing about, the boxer,
Mhm.
black boxer. They framed him for murder. He was innocent. He sat in a jail cell. In that movie, The Hurricane, there is a scene in the jail cell, and this is how particular I am about everything that I am looking at within my eyesight, within my eye shot. And I wanted to know what those books were in his cell because in prison, that's real important.
Yeah.
And so I hit pause, took a screenshot, enhanced it, took another screenshot, enhanced it so I could see the 4 books that were in a row. 3 of those 4 books, they're not even real. They're just props. But the
Mhm.
one that's real was specifically placed in the movie. You could see it. It was like not on top. The other 3 were stacked on one another, but the other one was like away from it. And that book is called The Awakening of Intelligence. And I believe it's Krishnamurti. You can buy it on Amazon. This book talks about observing in a way that I can't explain it to you because you, as the observer and consumer, have to read it to understand what your perception of what he's speaking about is. The man the book is based on never picked up a pencil, a pen, or a writing utensil, never wrote a word in his entire existence. And the guy that he said, you need to write a book, he said, I don't write language. He said, I just exist. And if you want to write a book about me, you can follow me as much as you want. And he wrote a book about the guy. And it's basically the 3 consciousness where I said in the YouTube video for Inked, there's the physical realm, and then there's the spiritual realm, and then there's the subconscious. And when they're all 3 of them are brought together, it becomes you observing you from a distance. And we all want to be within the realm of ourself in all 3 existences, or each state of existence or consciousness. But we want to be out here watching at the same time. You can be alpha and omega, but you should also be, the cradle of that, which is the universe. It's a real wild book. It's a good book. I don't know. I'm getting tired, guys.
Yeah, you're good. I
I'm
got a
getting
book. I got a
tired.
book.
thank,
Hold
thank
on,
you so much for coming on this late. I know you're on the East
dude.
Coast.
You got to check this book out.
What is it? I'm old. Hold on, Frank. Hold on, Frank.
You're good. You're good.
Let me get my glasses. Oh, okay.
So this guy, Chris Bledsoe, he is
Oh, you said his
the
name earlier.
yeah, no, his that's his son. So his
Okay.
son started a podcast. That's his dad. He's like the most documented UFO phenomenon experiencer that's been documented by the FBI, CIA, NASA, and the Vatican. And like you could go on his Instagram right now, and he's probably had like 40 orbs he saw in the sky at his house today. But
Oh,
really
I
good.
think I'd seen something about him before. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on Skinwalker Ranch recently, and like they're just like getting all kinds of crazy data and stuff. Really cool book, dude. I'm gonna check that book out for real, though. Thank you.
You should. That
I will.
that and the Buddha's Brain by Richard Hanson, I think it is. Buddha's Brain is it's not so much teaching you Buddha as much as it is telling you how the man thought and how does that affect modern man. It's a shorter book. It's only like 150 pages. So it's a really easy read. It's not forceful. They're not forcing meditation or these things to you or these sets of standards, these Eastern states sets of standards or anything like that, or westernized. It's just very refreshing to read that sort of book, The Buddha's Brain. Really good book.
I'm gonna check out both of them. I wrote them down. Thank you.
Is there anything, Marisol, that you've been very quiet?
I'm just listening to you guys.
uh, is there anything else that you would like to ask, or maybe we'll do another one?
I would love to do
Yeah,
another one, and I would love to have your girlfriend on and have her kind of like, because I know I'm going to get
She's
a
a
different.
Mexican witch.
Well, I think that she's going to bring out another side of you,
Yeah, yeah.
and I want to see that.
You're gonna make her cry. So she is, I told you, I am existing voodoo, and she is Freya of the dead.
Yeah,
She's Santa Muerto, so she's a Mexican witch.
I love that.
Uh, she hates when I say that, but I have to expose her. You
Mm.
know, um, she's the best woman I've never met another woman like that in my entire life. Never. I learn so much from her. There's only so much that I can do to exist within the boundaries that I have created or that are given to me, or the tools that are given to me in which I survive and I exist. At some point you need somebody else that's a comprehensive being to take you forward more. And like Hades taking you into like death taking you into Hades is what it is. And it's almost like that. It's like I I can't describe how I perceive her, because if you look at my Instagram, you will see how I perceive her. And I can't see her any other way. She is the greatest force of nature that I've ever met. She teaches me, she learns from me. We're just two idiots just
We'll
getting
have to,
along.
yeah, I definitely want to have you guys on together and like just hear how you guys like manifested each other and found each other and everything. Like,
It's
I
so
know there's a
stupid.
story there.
It's so dumb, like fucking idiots together. Like I was telling her we can't have friends because they can't hang. There's no way to do that around us, and it'll take one thing, and we'll just start. Everything is just like our own little secret language. So, and it's real stupid to watch from the outside because you're just going, what are they talking about right now? And I said, they want you to go on this podcast with me at one point, maybe. And she's like, oh, why? And her voice, like, and this is what I'm saying. She goes, I don't know. And I was like, but she's Mexican. So she says things like, I called my sister today. I'm like, did you call your sister? I'm like, okay. She says things that are really fucked up and funny. We went to California last week, and she goes, Richard, we have to get the boarding passes and get on the plane. And I said, the plane? We have to get on the plane? And she's like,
tattoo.
she's like, you motherfucker. She has to be careful what she says around me because I break her balls a lot. And she's a good
Right.
sport. She's a very good sport.
Well,
So.
that's the Philly in you coming out, though.
Oh, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
I've paint cars up like in body shops my whole life. So
Right.
I don't have any more balls left, you know. They've been broke. That's it. So I'm quick. I'm real fast. So she can hang though. She's learning. She uses what I say around people that she works with, which is really funny. So,
That's
is there anything
awesome.
else within this one that you guys want to know? Or
I think we're good. I think we're definitely
Yeah,
going to do several parts. We'll have you back on, and then maybe you can come back on with other people too. It'd be cool to like just blend and discuss
get
and
immersed in Rich's world.
Yeah.
It's a very short list of people because I told you, anyone I've ever talked to.
Well, you know what? We should call out Dr. Drew. We're talking to you. Have him on. Sam.
Yeah.
Tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
Let's make that happen.
Yeah. Because I can pull it up. I think when he did that, I might have wrote something to him. I'm really interested in what's his name? Ryan, he does the honeydew. Sickler.
Oh,
you know about Ryan Sickler?
Yeah, he's funny, dude.
Yeah, he's a good he does good shit. But that's so I don't know if he had Sickler on when he was saying it. I don't remember who the guest was. But Dr. Drew definitely said that he might have insinuated that I could possibly be a Nazi.
What? That's so bold. But that reminds me, and it's just like kind of to summarize this whole podcast in general. Like when I first saw you on TikTok was Devin drawing you, and I'm like, it's so intriguing to see, or Devon, that perspective of you, because when you first see someone, you're already like have this like predisposition. Yeah, you're like your predisposition of what this person is, and then just getting to know you throughout the week, and then seeing your interview with him, I'm like, that's not who I would assume you were just from looking at you, right? Like would never thought like you were spiritual and like you were so kind-hearted and like big-hearted and like love your animals so much and talk about the things that you love so openly, because you look like a tough man. You look tough, you know what I mean? So it's like you wouldn't expect that to just be like open up, and just be like, oh yeah, I love my dogs, I love my girlfriend, I love my life, all this stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, it just kind of like what got me intrigued into like, hey, this guy's like not who you think he is. And so
there's
definitely not a Nazi.
Yeah. There's
for the record.
There's I don't, some days it's thicker than others. I don't see how people look at me because I forget myself that the way I look. It exposes people and who they are in like at least within my past. It's like when I had my dog, my big dog. If you feel uncomfortable, cross the street. If you feel like you need to move, then move. You don't have to be in the same trajectory that I am. My trajectory is different than everybody's. We are not the same. My trajectory is only up. Your trajectory is to look at things, question it, judge it. I can't tell you how many times women, men, doctors, lawyers, teachers, people, I don't go to bars. When I do, people are compelled to speak to me. They need to speak to me, and that's acceptable because, as I said, learning and teaching. So experience and existing with you and experiencing me is to them is going to be something you don't see this all the time. And I mean, really,
I would self-describe myself like that, like where others are off put by things like I need to know and I need to know why and I need to know what it's about. Like just because how could I have a completely accurate understanding of anything if I don't understand both aspects or all aspects of what entail it? And even then, I might not understand it, but I'll have a better understanding than the collective that just judge it based on their own fucking deductive reasoning. You know what I mean?
So the most recent thing that happened to me, and I'm so good at it now, I can predict when it's coming and what's going to happen. And I'm very humble, so I just doesn't matter how many times it's happened. I always take it in as a learning experience, as it's the first time I've ever experienced it. Um, the last thing that happened to me, I was out, and this guy came up to me and he told me, he said, he just had wanted, you could tell he wanted to talk to me. He wanted to say something to me. And he grabs me, this is in Philly, in Center City. He grabs me in this club and he shakes my hand. He goes, dude, he goes, I just want you to know, seeing you brings up a lot of memories. My brother, he killed himself. We were both firefighters for Philadelphia for the past like 15 years. And you remind me a lot of him. And he was a real bad alcoholic and a drug addict. And that's eventually that's what killed him. And I said to him, I said, hey, listen, man. I said, I want you to know, it's not his fault. These are just things that happen within this existence for him. I said, and I want you to know, like, I have 17 years clean. I don't want you to think that people that look like me are all fucked up all the time. There is hope on the other side of it. There is another end to it. A lot of times people will, they'll start talking to me, and then they see how I am able to project my personification and how I articulate, and that kind of, they get thrown back and they go, oh, you're smart. And then they look at me and they go, well, can I get you they'll apologize immediately. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, you don't need to apologize. Like, how could you have possibly known? And they'll be like, well, can I get you a drink? I said, I don't drink. And they go, and this is proving what I just said. They say, well, you look like you drink. I said, what does someone that drinks look like?
Yeah.
What does someone who smokes cigarettes look like? I don't know what that looks like, because I have seen very nice old women and men pick up cigarette, and smoke or shoot heroin. Like, not that they're bad people, but I mean, it just, I think it's cathartic all the way around. I think that coming into contact with me helps to desensitize the norm of what it is. This is what, because look, I'm just some schmuck in Philadelphia who had some hard shit happen to him in life and tattooed his face based on specific calculated things. It's all calculated. It's like, do I sacrifice like this? Yes, because why not? Why not? Let's see what happens. And here we are, and people tell me, they're like, Rich, it's that. I say, well, what is it about me that they're saying, people are saying to me, you inspired me. It's, well, what is the inspiration? And someone said to me very well, he said, look, it's because you give people hope that they can be themselves and still be successful at it and live a productive life. And I said, I understand that. Another guy said on Devon's page, and I had a discussion with him, he said, it's so crazy because the blessing is the curse. The curse being my priors, my entire existence, and like where it brought me up to this point. And he's right. That's the truth. It's like, you're right. The blessing is the curse. Not too many people see that truth within that, like, my lifespan. And it's crazy to think that. I think that people, again, live in that wide space of soon where they say, I'll do this tomorrow. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym. And they go to the gym for a month. And then it starts to slowly fizzle out. What are you capable of? Can you commit to self and nothing else? It has nothing to do with looks or anything else. What are you willing to do for self? Again, that's selfishness. Like, there's selfishness and then there's good selfishness. And sometimes we have to be good selfish in order to thrive and survive and be able to come out of that shell to talk to people and teach them about what was in that shell and around the shell and exist in every level and platform that they possibly can.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but I know that from my experience, just talking to people when they've gone through a lot as a child and just in life in general, and they're willing to open up to kind of like that experience that you said you were willing to open up and drop your addictions and start a fresh new life and opening up to the universe or God or whatever, um, they tend to become like beacons of light and just like bring light to people. Like an extra sense is open in a way, like you have
Yeah,
this like extra
yeah.
sense.
The
And
amygdala.
mm-hmm. What
The
is that?
amygdala opens up. There's I don't remember what gland it is in your brain or what
Mm-hmm.
region it is, but
The
it's
pineal gland.
yeah, pineal gland. It's your third
Mm-hmm.
eye. It's
Mm-hmm.
what just connects left to right, and it's the amygdala. And I don't know if I've mastered it. People say I'm enlightened, and I
Mm-hmm.
might be, but I've never read Buddha's brain's the only thing that I've ever read about Buddhism. I just kind of exist. A big thing to me is vulnerability is so important within everybody's recovery from trauma, just trauma. Like everybody has anxiety naps. Everybody has like these traumatic experiences that they're just holding on to it. They're just, oh, fuck. Um, and they don't want to release because to release would mean they have to hit pause, back up, and say maybe they were wrong, or maybe they could have done it a different way, or maybe they can experience this again out loud in the open air. I had to say I have to be vulnerable at all costs, and if that meant getting scammed again, mentally, emotionally, physically, if I had to be treated like shit and humble myself to just shut the fuck up and listen, or becoming vulnerable in the sense that a girl breaks my heart, it's like, okay, what did I learn from this? You know, how do I not run out there as a man and drill my dick into 90 fucking brick walls, and just until I'm done fucking everything out. It's about refining in order to master self. And when you learn to refine and master self, you become vulnerable and humble, and you're able to process things. At least for me, I'm able to process things on a different level. That human race to nowhere fast again is where I lay, and that is where I sit. That's where I exist. Is like I'm watching myself race with other people, but I'm in the backdrop going, slow down, just slow down. You know, Freya, uh, my girlfriend we will, we will have arguments, and I'm always right. So I just want to say that right now. I'm always correct. Okay, we have disagreements, but as long as she knows that I am always correct, we have no problems. I do think she doesn't know me back then. Everything that I do with her, every motion, everything that I experience with her, I am doing different as a man. I am doing things differently. I am taking a different stance on relationships, and I am looking at her and I'm going, I hit the pause button and I take a step out and I go, okay, let's talk about this. Even with my parents, like hit the pause button. You're not going to get the reaction that you expect every time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes is the juice worth the squeeze? Do you stay or do you go? That vulnerability allows you, that growth allows you to, because once you become vulnerable and you get shit on enough and you just get humble about it and you retain it and you just process it and keep moving forward and take that loss as a learning experience, you are able to see things different. I said that in the very beginning. You change the perception, you change the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very there was a guy named Dr. Shanahan. He was in the first rehab I was ever in when I got 7 years clean. He's dead now, But if you ever see The Secret of Nim, you ever see this movie?
No.
It's a cartoon, The Secret of Nim.
Yeah.
Remember the owl?
Yeah.
He reminds me of the owl. Like his eyebrows just were bushy and so he said to me, he said, "Oh, you're gonna stay clean, huh?" And I'm sure he does this shit with everybody. This is his opening line, but it it touched me. He's like, "I'll bet you all the money in my pocket against whatever you have in your pocket." He's like, "What do you have in your pocket now?" I was like, "I got some lint. I have a cough drop. I have a toothpick. I don't know what the fuck this is." He goes, "I'll bet you everything in my pocket for 1 week you can't change your shower routine." And I thought, your money's mine, old man, you know? And what he means is every day Marisol gets up, she wets her hair, she soaps her left arm first, she soaps her right arm, and then she goes to the midsection, and then she puts shampoo on. And then we all have this routine, right? We've all become structured to this thing. And his bet was change. Can you change the simplest little thing? Food, which ways you turn, if you apologize, are you accountable? These little things that turn into giant things, allowing you to be vulnerable to promote growth and change, or change and growth. And I was like, you're on. He's like, good, we start today, but you have to be honest, because that's also part of that process. And I'm like, this is it. I'm going to fucking make this dude, I'm going to take this dude's money. I got in the shower. I didn't last with the first fucking drop of water. I immediately went to my left arm, and like, I tell you, I screamed. I was like, fuck, you know, like, fuck. And I told him, he goes, no one can do it, dude. No one can do it. You might do it for the first time, but you have 6 more days. You know what I mean? Like, 6 more days.
Yeah.
You have to change it every single day. It's not possible because you've been doing this your whole life, dude. It's time to change. Another thing he told me that I processed, and I can talk about it now because I'm pretty sure that the man's dead. When I got clean, I went back to the place, the 7 years. I was still the same asshole, and I was in a mental relapse, and I was clean, but I still learned a lot about myself because relapse is a part of recovery. Anybody that doesn't, like, how can you tell me I'm going to relapse? Dude, shut the fuck up, man. Because if you don't relapse, how are you going to learn what it's about? How are you going to learn about yourself? And so there's no sneezing, Frank.
Bless you.
There's no sneezing, and there's no sneezing.
Right.
So he said to me, do a favor for somebody and don't tell a soul. No one, ever, not ever. And what I did was, where I was living at the time, there was this downhill driveway. And this man, Balderson, he was my next door neighbor. I would wake up every time it snowed. And that winter in 09, oh, no, this is before the 08. This is, I had to be 18 or 19. I would go outside, and that's when we still got a lot of snow in Pennsylvania. You know, it hasn't really been bad. I would shovel his entire driveway at like 5 a.m. because he's old and he needs to, you know, like he'd have to get out.
Yeah.
So I would salt and shovel his driveway, and he never saw me. I never got caught. 4 years later, I moved out of that apartment, and as I'm moving, I'm about to get in my car, and he goes, hey, son, who's going to shovel my driveway now? And I started to cry because that's the payout.
Yeah.
That's that recognition. You know what I mean? To me, that had more value than $1 million right there. I was like,
Yeah.
motherfucker. And I thought of Shanahan, and all these things came back, these good feelings. And that's that vulnerability working itself again, and that humbleness. And so, you know, I think that people don't they possess the ability, they just don't do it. And I know you've had it. It's like somebody is wrong. Everybody knows you're wrong. You know you're wrong. They know you're wrong, but you don't have the ability to hit pause and go, whoa. Let's start over here again. You know what? I'm wrong. It took me sometimes 3 days. Then it took 2 days. Now it's immediate because I'm able to process things different. And it's no big deal. It's just me being an adult. But with social media and the advent of like things that make weird things so accessible so fast and so quickly, this is the tribal knowledge that's lost. These processes that we have to go through, these coming of ages and becoming men and women and learning self and conducting yourself in a certain way and having a certain demeanor that you portray to people around you. So
True.
I don't know.
I saw that firsthand this weekend when that lady just like fell to the ground, and instead of helping her, everybody got their cell phones out, and I'm like,
that's crazy.
Whoa, like where's the humanity? And then this guy behind me is like laughing and joking with his buddy on the phone about it, and I'm like, so we're all that desensitized and that like out of touch with like humanity, like it's right here.
Humanity.
Like yeah. And I'm like, she just needs some help, and nobody wanted to help. It was crazy. But yeah,
it's wild,
along the
right?
same line. Yeah. The social media. But thank you so much for coming on and staying up late for us.
I'm going to be such garbage at work tomorrow.
Sorry.
I don't even give a shit.
I can call your boss.
They don't give a shit. They don't care.
Okay.
These are not those guys. They're from South Philly. They don't give a fuck.
You're lucky the fucking Eagles won tonight.
Yeah, you're lucky I don't. Like, who the fuck? Your mother's a whore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck you. Yeah. That kind of shit,
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm going to pin all your social media, your OnlyFans, so that people can check out your sleep dick, your TikTok.
My scrotum totem.
Yeah.
I would call it my scrotum totem.
Pack you a hot lunch.
Yeah. Pack you a hot lunch full of scrotum totems from Sleevy D. Yeah.
Yeah, so
for sure.
And we'll have you on. Thank you so much. It's been so nice getting to know you.
Yeah, we got to do another one.
Yeah, just keep in touch and let me know. I don't even know if any of this is different than what I've talked about in other interviews, or if it actually is going to listen, my existence, this one is it's to learn and teach. I know that, and this is why I'm able to put my foot up on this next step. And I've been trying to do so as much as I possibly can, is just learn and teach. And so the more that I am able to facilitate interviews and get this out there, if people have questions, or, if I'm helping people, why not be a conduit and to continue doing this? Like I said, my one of my biggest goals is to be a public speaker. I don't know the first damn thing about doing that. I'm currently trying to find a ghostwriter to help me write a biography. I don't even know. I mean, again, I'm just some schmuck that tattoos face. So I don't know.
It's all for a purpose, I see the purpose, and the purpose is also like, love and like getting everybody to remember their purpose in life, and
life.
How much more inspiring to see someone actually doing and living it and embodying it than, even someone listening to this. You never know, it could change their entire life. So thank you so much.
The other thing too is we didn't get like this in one day. It's going to take some time. You got to unravel the wires. So.
Yeah. Yep.
So I appreciate it was good talking to you, Frank. I really appreciate it. And
hey man, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I hope people call you Frank, and I hope people call you Marinara, and I hope that when you hear it,
it could be worse. I've been called much worse in my life. I'll take it.
All right. I guess I'll talk to you guys later on, or just let me know when you want to talk again. Thank you.
Thank
Absolutely,
you.
Man. Thank you. Have a great week.
All right.